Government Asset Retrieval Taskforce today raided a yard in Nsawam, belonging to an auction house. They set out to impound vehicles believed to belong to the state and are now in the possession of private individuals. The team, accompanied by media men, however, met an interesting scene this morning as their operation was fiercely resisted by the caretaker of the property, who produced documents indicating the vehicles are actually in the custody of various courts in Accra. We'll soon be speaking with members of the task force and the head of the auction house. But let's begin by trying to understand what exactly occurred at Nsawam this morning. Our JoyNews' Daniel Dazi was there and joins me now in the studio. It's good to have you, Daniel. Tell us what you saw on your trip with the task force today.
Well, we went to Nsawam like you said earlier, and when we got there were a number of cars parked in the yard. At final count, the cars were numbering more than 30. Now, the task force had 6 vehicles that they were looking out for. These 6 vehicles included 2 Ford Explorers. There was a Mitsubishi Pajero. There was also a BMW saloon car, keep that in mind. There was also a number of other vehicles out there that they were supposed to take. Now, when we got there, they were able to identify 5 out of the 6 vehicles. There were 2 Land Cruisers.
But if you say they, you mean the task force?
The task force, right. Thank you. So there were 2 Land Cruisers as well that they were supposed to get. So that makes the 6. Okay. They were able to identify 5 out of the 6 vehicles. They said they found a black Land Cruiser there. They were looking for a white one. Okay. And so we had the 5, the BMW, the Pajero, the 2 Ford Explorers, and 1 of the Land Cruisers. Okay. So that was the 5. The BMW saloon car, they immediately identified that this is a state protocol car. They said it's an armored car. They actually alleged that it was in a presidential fleet. Okay. And it's in that yard. So they were questioning the caretaker of that property. His name is William Barr. And we'll soon be hearing William Barr. He was saying that he's just a worker at an auction house. And those vehicles there are as a result of a court litigation. So all the over 30 vehicles there are as a result of the court litigation. So I think we can hear, first of all, a member of the Assets Retrieval Force. His name is Akwesi Abebrese. Okay. When they questioned William Barr and when they found the vehicles. All right, we can hear from him now.
Yes, of course, we had information that there's a government vehicle at the Nsawam. So we just called pressmen and we informed our boss in the office, and he said we should come and have a look. And true, we just come around. And we see SPD government vehicle, we see Land Cruisers, many cars, and we confronted the man. What he's saying is the car is a 6 cars from court, and he did not mention the court name. We wanted to know. He said no, he will not mention the court name. So now, what we have been seeing here, the Ghana, the Parliament House, the court people, President, everybody is in. National Security Coordinator, Mr. Kendepa, Chief of Staff, everybody is seeing it now. I don't want maybe somebody to talk, maybe we are lying. This is live. This is SPD government vehicle live. So now everybody has seen the thing.
How many cars have you seen so far?
Oh, the car here is at least over 60 cars.
Government cars?
It's 60 cars. Some are government cars.
Which car is a government car? Which one mentioned?
Some are, even this SPD, this Land Cruiser.
The Land Cruiser over there is not for the government.
Okay, so that's the auctioneer. That's the auctioneer. So as I'm talking, we cannot judge it here. It's only the big mess at the up who can judge. Our own is just pick the information and send the signal to Ghana government. So we have finished.
So what's next after this?
The next after this, if you need any information again, after we contact our big men, what they said, and then you move on. We will let you know. Then we'll continue.
So Akwesi Abebrese is a member of the task force there, speaking to Daniel Dazi, who of course is here to give us all the behind-the-scene information. So he is saying that there isn't much he can do. All they have to do is to take away the vehicles, or what?
They were unable to take away the vehicles.
Okay. Did they come there to take away the vehicles?
That was the purpose of coming. They were going to retrieve them. And they said that they will go back and relay the information Mr. William Brown was giving them, and then they will take the next step. So
they did not know that they did not have that information that the caretaker gave them today.
Exactly.
That they were just caretakers of vehicles and not they. Okay, all right. And you also spoke to the auctioneer, of course.
Yes, well, the caretaker, Mr. William Brown.
Right, the caretaker.
Yeah, and he was saying the summary of what he was saying is that he's just a caretaker. These cars are in litigation. Okay. So it's as if Mr. A takes Mr. B to court. He wants to have the car seized. The court then impounds the car. They give it to the auctioneers whom he works for, and they would keep the cars at a location. So this is one of the locations, and that's the explanation he gave for him having over 30 vehicles in his yard. So let's hear Mr. William Brown now.
Right.
When you own bank or you own individuals, and somebody the person takes you to court, well, that means and you've not paying your debt, then the court will go to your house for execution. The court call it execution. When they go there and they find maybe a car or something in your premises, they seize it to show that go and pay your debt. Then you come for your vehicles. And then when the cars seized, all these cars now, you cannot pack all these cars into the court premises. You cannot leave it there. So that's why we are having auctioneers or debt collectors. So when the cars were seized, then the court will authorize the auctioneer to go for the vehicles for preservation. You see, for preservation. So the cars over here is not my own cars, which I bought it in with my pocket money.
Okay. So you are preserving them for the court?
We are preserving for the court. So the cars over here, when you put it on the screen, one, you embarrass the owners of the vehicles, you embarrass the auctioneers.
So do you work for the court?
I work with auctioneer. I'm not saying I work.
How many courts do you work with? I mean, we've seen about 20 cars here.
What I'm saying is, the cars which were parked in my house is the court property. You see, and then when the car parks here, and then the owner goes and pay his debt, the court will authorize the auctioneer to bring the car to the owner, so that the owner will pay commission for the keeping the car in our custody.
Obviously, he is the caretaker, and so he's explaining his position. Hang on a little longer for me. I have Joe Abega. He is a joint partner at Giant Mart Auctions, where those vehicles were sent to. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse.
Thank you.
Now, I'm trying to understand this arrangement. How did you get those vehicles in your yard?
Those vehicles are caught impounded vehicles.
Okay.
When I say caught impounded vehicles, I mean they are vehicles realized through what we call FIFA or ferry fishers. It is a judgment debt. For instance, someone goes to the bank to access a facility, and the person faults in payment. The plaintiff bank resorts to the court, and when judgment is given, a white docket is open, and then we, the auctioneers, go into execution. When going into execution, we attach both movable and immovable persons of the defendant in question. So this is how come we came by those vehicles and parked in our garage.
So if you say judgment debt, you mean that those vehicles actually belong to government, but then people have taken government to court, and then the court then brought them to you because the case is still being decided. Am I correct?
No, that is not it.
Help
that
me.
Is not it.
Help
It
me
doesn't
out.
mean that The cars belong to individuals who have gone to access facilities from the bank, who have defaulted payments, and the plaintiffs have gone to court to go through due process for their properties to be impounded.
Okay. So you are not aware that any of the vehicles belong to government?
None of the vehicles belong to government. Let me give you a scenario. Just about 2 months ago, one Evans Mensah from Flagstaff House, they are also one of the task forces. They went to the same garage and took one V8, Land Cruiser 1 V8 vehicle away on Flagstaff House premises. We followed up just about 3 days ago. They released the vehicle. So I don't know what they mean by government vehicles. So
someone from the Flagstaff House came for a vehicle in your yard?
Yes, they came for one vehicle, that Land Cruiser V8. Just 3 days ago, they released it to us.
Okay, because they realized that it was not a government vehicle.
That, yes, what we were telling them was the truth. But we even went to the Flagstaff House the judgment given at the court, and the how do you call it? The inventory taken on the day the vehicle was impounded. We show it to them. Okay. So, are you aware? Have you engaged the members of the task force who were in your yard today? Because what they're saying is that they actually point to some of the vehicles and say this vehicle belongs to state protocol. This vehicle is armored. This vehicle is that. Basically indicating that those vehicles belong to government. Have you engaged them? And what has been the information that's you exchanged between the two of you? This morning, I had a call from the garage, from the gentleman who takes care of the garage, that there are some media men from Joy FM and who are taking shots of the vehicles. And I asked what is the problem. He said they are saying some of the vehicles are government vehicles. I said, okay, let me speak with the task force. They refused to speak with me.
So you have not engaged them at all?
I have not engaged them at all.
Right now, as we speak, we understand that the task force members are in a meeting. What did not happen was that they weren't able to, they couldn't take away the vehicles from your yard. But the information they put out is that they're going to inform basically those who sent them, and that there's a likelihood that they will come back for the vehicles. Are you aware of that?
I am not duly aware of that. The only thing he told me this morning was that Joy FM personnel were taking videos and shots of our vehicles. I was never told that the vehicle has been moved away from the garage.
Hold on for me. Our reporter who was there with the task force is here in the studio with me. He's got a quick information on that.
Mr. Vega, I'm reminded that when we went to the yard this morning, your man in the yard said one of the vehicles has been there for more than 8 years. It was brought to the yard during the regime of former President Kufuor, and it's one of the vehicles that was brought into Ghana during the Ghana's 50 celebrations, a BMW saloon car. Can you confirm that, sir?
Which of the vehicles?
A BMW saloon car.
BMW?
Yes.
Was brought through where?
It was brought more than 8 years ago.
Do you have any in your possession, any vehicle that you've had for the past 8 years?
You know, most of the vehicles over 8 years possible, most of the vehicles over there could even be more than that. You know what happens is, when such vehicles are impounded, we now go through the court processes until the court gives an order that the vehicles should be sold through public auction. So if the defendant and the plaintiff have not gone through the due process yet, the vehicles can even be with us for even 16, 17 years.
Okay, it can be there for over 17 years, I see, and its lifespan will obviously be waning. But let me find out from you what your next move is going to be. These vehicles were impounded by the court, brought to your yard. In that case, what does it make you? A caretaker or an owner or someone who is about to auction those vehicles and give the money back to those who own?
Say again, the line is breaking, say again.
The vehicles were found in your yard. What does that, you said they are court impounded vehicles, but they were found in your yard. What does that make you? A caretaker, owner, someone who's about to auction those vehicles and give the money back to the court? Exactly what does it make you?
Okay, what happens in such instances is that because the defendant is owing the plaintiff, the court gives orders that their properties to be seized. Their building and the vehicle are also properties. So we sell all those ones. When we sell, the money is paid into court. When the money is paid into court, and then the plaintiff will now go by what we call an F-30 motion to go and withdraw his or her money from the court.
So you are going to sell the vehicles and hand the money back to the court. Is that correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
And you've had vehicles in your possession for over 17 years?
Hello?
You've had some of these vehicles in your possession for over 17 years.
Yes, just like I explained to you earlier on, it can even take so many years, depending on how the case travels. That it depends on the plaintiff and the defendant, how the case travels at the court.
Okay, so you're not automatically supposed to sell the vehicles?
You're not automatically.
You don't, they don't come to you so that you sell them. That selling is not automatic. There has to be some kind of agreement before you sell the vehicles. Is that it?
No, not at all. No individual can come to us and come and buy those vehicles. The court, you see, when the court gives an order, we are because it's vehicle movable, we are giving 14 days to run adverts in the daily graphic and other.
So if the vehicles come to you and you have to sell them, what I'm wondering is why would you have them for 17 years? Is it that you can't get someone to buy?
Hello?
Why would the vehicles be with you for so long if they have to be sold?
Yes, when the vehicles are with us for that long, I mean, the court is a court of record, and we are also a firm with records. We don't keep our records until the court gives direction or otherwise. Then we know what to do with it. Without any direction, the vehicles must be remain as it is, as it were, and as it was. No one touches it.
I see. I'm still struggling to understand, but we don't have so much time. This is what time will allow us to do. Sir, thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. Do Abega is a joint partner at the Giant Mart Auctions, of course, and he's been speaking with us because those vehicles were found in his yard. But just so you know, we've been hoping to speak to the members of the task force. We understand that they've been called into a meeting at the Flagstaff House. We're unable to reach them at the moment. We'll keep tabs on that, by the way. But let me let you go, Daniel. I'm not quite sure what the arrangement is because he's still explaining, but it still doesn't come out really clear as to whether or not they are to sell the vehicles the moment they receive them or they should hold on until the court takes a decision. Was that made clear in on your trip today?
No, the element of them having to sell the vehicles did not
even come up at all. I see. I'm sure we'll get some more understanding into this. Thank you very much, Daniel. Daniel has been with the task force going for government vehicles there. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando Apia. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.